We are going to start this with the Share the Land Acknowledgement. So we recognize that all of us at UW-Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. As people on this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of dispossession and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. We do ask that you remain muted during the interview portion of this. After the interview, if there is time, well, there will be some time that we will take questions via the chat, or you can come off of mute. If you experience any technical difficulties, please note it in the chat and we will assist with that. And with that, I'll now turn this over to our interviewer, Brianne Santos. She is our student from the School of Interdisciplinary Arts and Sciences. She is also a member of PISA, Pacific Islander Student Alliance. Thank you, Brianne. It's over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our alumni speaker tonight is Paolo Campbell. Paolo graduated from UW-Tacoma with a degree in psychology in 2010. During his time in UW-Tacoma, he was a very active student leader on campus and served on the Student Activities Board as the Entertainment and Random Fun Committee Chair. After graduation, he began to venture into the culinary arts and completed his culinary education at the Seattle Culinary Academy. His experience includes working at Revell Opus Company as a sous chef. During the pandemic, he used his skill of cooking to feed people and families in the Greenwood neighborhood in Seattle. Now a business owner and chef, he co-owns the Chicken Supply restaurant with a friend and colleague that he attended culinary school with. Paolo now lives in Seattle with his wife and son. So Paolo, when you were deciding on universities, why did you choose UW-Tacoma?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Paolo. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for coming. UW-Tacoma, I'll tell you what, because I lived in Gig Harbor at the time, and it was like a 20-minute drive. And since I'm the only child, my parents were really pumped about me not having to go very far to school, which I think is the main reason why. Also, I think it was that, or just go other places that were like hours away or out of state or wherever it was. Also, I just wasn't the best student academically, so I was like, this was my best option. I decided to take a chance on me, and I said, let's do it, dude.
All right. What was your most significant learning experience you had as a UW-Tacoma student?
Probably just gonna say the interaction with people, different people. Growing up, my dad is a white guy and my mom is a Filipina lady, and he's in the Navy, so we traveled quite a bit. But most of the neighborhoods that I lived in were a lot of white neighborhoods. So when I came to UW-Tacoma, it kind of opened my eyes to see like a bunch of people that looked, or more people rather, that looked like me, and just other ethnicities and cultures that I'd never really seen or experienced before, which I think to me is like the biggest takeaway in the whole experience, including, academia and everything else under the umbrella of college. I think it was really just the personal interaction with everyone.
All right. How did your experience at UW-Tacoma influence your career pursuits after graduation, and what were some of your challenges and obstacles that you faced?
We talked about this for a hot second before we started recording here, but I wanted to be many things growing up. I have a very what some might call an unfocused mind, and so I wanted to do all kinds of stuff. I wanted to be a dentist like my dad. I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to be a hairstylist. I was trying to do videography and photography. I was trying to do so many things, everything and really nothing at all. And I think I just wanted to try so many things, um, which I think is, in part in school, at least my studies always brought me back to at least one thing, right? To psychology, which is what I ended up doing. But I was trying to do so many things. I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. And I was, my hobby was just like cooking, and I cooked all the time. Now, was it, great? I don't know. People might say it was. Probably wasn't that dope back then. It was just like microwave meals. But I think food was like the hobby that carried me through all of the things that I thought I was supposed to do. Right. And so then once I graduated, there wasn't really that safety net, I guess, so to speak, of like going to class and, learning something and kind of like trying something new for the fun of it or whatever. So then after college, I was like, I don't know. I think I'm just going to get some random jobs until I really figure out what I'm going to do. And then at some point, I just told, my my wife, I was like, Jen, I think I'm just going to go to culinary school and I'm just going to do it. And so I did, which is kind of my mindset on a lot of things. If I just think of something, I do it, which is, good and not good on many levels. But that, that's just what I ended up doing, and I stuck to it, and here I am now.
When and why did you decide to become a chef?
I honestly think I wanted to be a chef from a very early age. I think when I was watching like Food Network, when like Emeril Lagasse was on there, and I think Food Network was just starting to be like more of this like an entertainment channel, and he had his like catchphrase like "bam" or whatever, and even on I think PBS, there was Julia Childs, and Aron Sanchez was on there way before he blew up. And I was watching all those guys. So probably like elementary school, I thought cooking was a thing, but I didn't think it was like a viable career, because for me it just seemed like fun, right? To me, careers were like things that my parents did, where they sat in an office and they like, worked 9 to 5 and did quote unquote very professional type things. So to me, it was just like, oh, this is just kind of like fun. I don't know if people get paid to like have fun, so to speak, But yeah, actually, my mom sent me all of my yearbooks from school not too long ago, and inside a lot of the covers in like um, elementary and middle school, a lot of my friends signed where it's like, oh, dude, one day I can't wait to try your cooking, or dude, have a great summer. You're going to be an awesome chef or whatever. So I think that's just kind of like a full circle moment for me, where it was, something I've always wanted to do, but I didn't think it was like an option. I didn't think it was a thing. And then for a little while, I think in high school, when it was more of a serious time, or supposed to be more serious for me to like focus on, what my career was going to be, I didn't think that was a thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to college. I'll do it. I'll have a backup plan just in case. And then, yeah, then after that, I was like, it's not really, all the things that I studied are tight, but not what I want to do. So kind of a full circle moment for me.
How did you become a co-owner, and what is it like being a co-owner of the chicken supply?
So yeah, it's a kind of a long but not really that complicated story, I guess. When I was in culinary school, I met my friend, now co-owner, Donnie. And I think right when we started, we were both just like very, very new to the industry. I think we had just started working at like our very first like casual fine dining restaurants. And I think, just being new and fresh in the industry, just trying to prove a lot of things, and you're like trying to show everyone that you can hang and you can do it. Then I think quickly at some point I was like, I don't know if this is really my style. This isn't really my jam. But you know what I do love? Fried chicken. And in like some form or fashion, whether it's like chicken sandwich, just the fried chicken by itself, whatever. And I think, yeah, I think it was like first quarter where I was like, yo, dude, I think I'm gonna open a fried chicken place one day. And then from then on, I literally, that's all I've been talking about. Probably, at least with him, a couple times a quarter. Then when we left culinary school and we started branching out and, you know, cooking our separate ways and doing other things to explore, at least once a year, I would always come back to him and just be like, yo, dude, so you want to open that fried chicken place? You want to do this? And then he would be like, I don't know, not right now. I'm kind of in a good place. We're still trying to gain some experience and learn some things. But yeah, at some point, all of the stars aligned in like the best of the worst situation where, the restaurant I was at previously, Opus Co. Shouts out to my main dude, Mark, for letting me be there with him the whole time. We opened that restaurant together. And then we only had a 5-year lease. So when, hi dude. Hi. So when we, when he decided to end it, he sold me the business. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to do my own thing, which was like maybe a year ago. And he's like, this is all you've really been talking about, which is just fried chicken. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. And then, Donnie wasn't working at the time because of COVID. He took some time off and was hanging out at home. He had like a 7-month-old, and it was just like, hey, dude, I know you might be tired, and I know you might have a lot of things going on, but we could open this restaurant finally. And so he's like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, then we just did it. And so it's so far so good. We don't hate each other. We're still homies. We come into work every day and we're super excited to just see our small team and do what we do and make food that we are truly excited about and just passionate about, and things that, to us don't really get old. One of my previous chefs at one of the other restaurants before, I told her one evening, I was like, I think I'm gonna fry chicken. I'm gonna open a restaurant that fries chicken. She was like, okay. Like, do you think you could just do that every day? And I was like, yeah, dude, I could do that every day. And I could eat that every day too, dude. Like, of course. So, clearly here I am, probably 15 pounds heavier from just eating fried chicken, but, I'm about it. I support it.
Who were the professors, mentors, or people in your life that added to your experience?
I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to say everyone that I have come across at UW Tacoma. Number one, my wife, met her there, Jen. Shouts out to Jen, who we made that child. He just ran in here. Like I told you, he might. I met her while I was working, or I was a student rather, and she was working. I'm at UW Tacoma. All the homies on the screen right now. TP, see you, dude. Jomar, see you, bro. Newman, aka Rhynaman Momtaz. All these guys that I went to school with. And just kind of, at least for me in my class, to be in the first freshman class. was just really cool, just kind of exploring a lot of things that we haven't done before, or the school in general, and allowing us to kind of be students, but also explore in a new way with them, because they haven't, done that. They were a commuter campus before. So I just think, yeah, everyone that I've come across at some point in time. Shauna, when she was there doing like BSU stuff. Bernie, a really, really close friend of ours, who used to be like the director of some sort. Forgive me, because I don't ever remember people's titles or what they actually do, but I know that he was a director of some sort for student activities. But yeah, no, and we've just been friends for a long time, and try and stay in touch with as many people as I can. And yeah, it has been pretty dope.
If you could go back in time and do it all over again, what would you do differently? Is there a class that you wish you would have taken or paid more attention in? Or are there student groups or activities that you wish you engaged in during your time here at UW Tacoma?
I read that question before we came, and I was trying to think, but I'm gonna say I did it right for me. If I could go back, I don't know if I would make any smarter or dumber decisions. I think all of my decisions led me to where I'm at right now. I was smart when I was supposed to be. I was dumb when I was supposed to be, and it all led me to where I'm at now. Gonna give a shout out to that chem teacher I was telling you before, Joyce, for really, when I was trying to be a dentist, she really showed me that I'm not meant to be a dentist. I don't think, she wasn't easy on me. I thought we had those Filipino homie hookup type things, but it wasn't it. It wasn't there, which is totally fine. But I think a lot of the other classes that I did that had it was just like electives. Like I took like a ethics class only because it was like a 400 level. And I was like, whoa, this is dope. I'm in a 400 level class just to do it. I didn't do very well, but I could say that I was in it, which I thought was pretty tight. I think, I want to say I probably should have paid attention more, but I don't know, dude. Academics is not my forte. I think it's more of mingling with the people is where I reside. It's kind of where I'm at. If that happens to be in the class, then so be it, but I don't regret anything, and I don't think I should have tried anything else. I think I did it all the way I was supposed to.
It is Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. What does this holiday mean to you?
I think it's really, really dope. I used to joke with some of my friends earlier on in college, and they would be like, oh dude, I don't think you figured out that you were brown until you were like a sophomore, which is kind of true, because like I was saying, like a lot of the surroundings that I've been in when I was younger, it was like a lot of white people, so I didn't really, obviously I'd like been to the Philippines, I lived in the Philippines for a little bit, knew I was Filipino, but I don't think I really touched into those roots, the core of myself, until I got to UW Tacoma. That kind of allowed me to explore that, and then really see what it meant to be Asian American and part of the AAPI community. And I think that it also allowed me to explore within that realm, right? Instead of like just kind of going about it how my friends are doing it in their way. Whereas in UW Tacoma, it was like, oh, well, I'm going to do it a different way now with all of these other people who kind of look like me. So it's really awesome that, you know, there's a dedicated time to focus on this group and groups of people, and to allow us to shine in whichever way that just so happens to be. So I think it's really awesome.
What community projects have you been involved in, or how did you serve the community?
When COVID started, the previous restaurant we were at, Opus Co. We decided to start doing community meals. So every Tuesday, we actually started cooking at the HPIC, the Highland Park Community Center here in West Seattle. And I was just looking for people. I just like emailed a whole bunch of people and was like, hey, you know, we're kind of like cutting down hours because we are normally like a dine-in destination restaurant, but we have switched to go. So we have like, I guess, a smaller menu and a little bit more free time. So we just like to see if we could, you know, kind of give back to the community. And so, yeah, they responded and they're like, yeah, of course. And they thought that we just wanted to do it like one time, but we were like, oh no, we'll do this for as long as you let us. So we ended up doing it every Tuesday for a year, which was really cool. And when we kind of got to flex that muscle a little bit and just cook things that, like, you know, weren't typically on our menu. So it was just like, you know, we're going to make burgers this time, or we'll do like falafels, or, you know, noodle bowls, or whatever it is. It was like soups for a while through wintertime, which was really cool because, you know, I live in West Seattle, so it was really, really nice to give back in that point in time where I feel like people really needed it. And we like met a whole bunch of cool people that, you know, live literally just like down the street from me. So yeah, that was really cool, really special. And you know, we had to kind of put it on pause for a second, opening the new restaurant, just because, you know, busy in other ways. But I hope that when we do get some more time, that we'll be able to either go back to them and help feed them, or provide the community in other ways for you know, whatever their needs might be. So
What has surprised you or surfaced unexpectedly in the industry that you work in?
Man, you know, that's kind of there's actually been a lot in the time of COVID. And I think for the better. I think the culinary industry is one that, you know, a lot of people see on TV as kind of this, I guess, maybe like a rock star lifestyle. I don't know. People like yelling at each other, and it's just like hot, sweaty, you know, it's like nonstop, which is very true. I think it's kind of a glamorized version of it, but it is similar to like how some kitchens run. But through COVID, you know, when people were just like kind of getting laid off, or it was like they were, whatever their situation might be, and they were able to kind of take a step back and look at what was going on, I think a lot of people kind of understood, and they were like, listen, dude, I'm not really trying to work like that anymore. Or it's like, you know, if I'm giving you this much time of myself to help you out, like, I demand some sort of respect, or, you know, whatever in return, which wasn't being given to a lot of people. And so I think a lot of people recognize that. So when places started opening back up, it was not as easy for a lot of people to hire cooks, because it was like, well, you know, even though I've been not making really as much, I've been able to like hang out with my family and like try new hobbies, go hang out and just sit and bum out for a hot minute and do whatever. Whereas before it would be like, you know what, I just came off of like a 14-hour bender and I did that 8 days in a row. I'm getting burnt out and I'm getting paid minimum wage with some tips. Then I think it allowed people to kind of look for things that, you know, respected them as individuals and like gave them what they needed. So that was kind of one of our main goals as well when opening our restaurant, was to be like, hey, we don't really need to be working like that. And we want to focus on the people that we have, and the people that we hire, and if they're there giving us their time, we want it to be worth it. So we pay them very well, and we cover 100% of their health benefits, which is like kind of rare. But I think slowly and surely more people are coming around to that. But yeah, I think it's taking a turn for the better. But I think there have been a lot of things exposed in our industry that people didn't quite realize. And it's like, oh, it's not always a competition where you win $10,000 at the end of the night or whatever. It's like Gordon Ramsay's not yelling at you, but if someone is yelling at you, it's not really that fun, So I think we're turning it around just a little bit.
What are you currently reading, or what have you read recently?
Try to catch up on the news, which is not really the best all the time, but I have to get that dose of reality. But then on the other hand, I go on to BuzzFeed all the time and I take a lot of quizzes. I try to see which Disney princess I am, which kind of toast I'm more into. These are the kinds of things that I feel like my brain needs. So it's not, it's, some people call it like trash internet. I think for me personally, it's just very healthy in a very different way, but I try to even it out. But sometimes when I'm reading things from, New York Times, Seattle Times, I'm just like, oof, that was heavy. Now I need to see if I can take this quiz to remember how many Disney movies I remember, which original Disney movie character I am. That's where I'm at.
Nice. So how has getting your degree impacted your family?
I will say in a positive way for sure, but I don't think directly it has, because when I didn't pursue anything in psychology specifically, because after college, then I was like trying to like find myself, do whatever. But I do think the classes that I did study in psychology have led me to, interact and connect better with other people, particularly in my industry, which is a service industry, which, spans multiple religions, races, cultures. And so I think it's allowed me to be a lot more open-minded, I think, in how I interact with people. And I think just the way that I see things, which I think ultimately in the larger scope of college, yes, that was awesome. Now, if we're talking particulars in psychology, I don't know if it was much, but we got there. Like I said, we got there.
What TV show would you say best reflects your daily life?
For a hot minute, I will say it was something maybe like Hell's Kitchen. It was just like a bunch of just like people just thinking they know what they're doing and then not knowing. And then you kind of, you get caught up, in all kinds of things, kind of lose it a little bit. Then you gather it back. Then at the end, you're like, that was amazing. You've moved on to the next round, which is great. Because really the next round is just like day number 2, right? And so it's just like, it's a never ending competition with myself. But, you know, I think maybe Hell's Kitchen is a good one. I think some sort of cooking show. I think.
And for our final question, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a current UWT student?
Oh man, one piece of advice. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and say just do you. Maybe, is that a little too broad? I don't know. I live by that though. I think as long as you're living for yourself and what you think you're supposed to be doing, then you know you'll get to where you need to be. I don't think you need to know what you need to be specifically right now. I think that's why people just go a little crazy, right? I mean, when I thought I was going to be a dentist, I was like, dude, is this really me? Is this where I'm trying to? Well, then I went to sleep and then I woke up the next day and I was like, I think I'm going to make videos. Like, wait, all right, well, dude, live that truth, man. Just live your truth, whatever that truth happens to be. It's going to change. And I think even more so now, because I think there's so many different opportunities that anyone could be almost anything they want to do, right? It's like, I want to say in my culinary class, maybe a quarter of them actually cook in kitchens. I think another percentage of them are like bloggers, you know, or they work for like magazines that are like do food critiques and stuff. So it's just like the genre of food has expanded so much now that there's so many more things to choose from. So it's like, dude, if you wanted to go to culinary school, it doesn't mean you have to like be a chef. You can just go there and then learn more about, you know, cooking in general and then go from there. So it's like, dude, you want to study chemistry? That's great. Go for it, dude. I support you. Does that mean you're going to be the OB that you want to be? I don't know. If that's what you want to do, I support it. But if it doesn't happen that way, then that's okay, because I don't know, by the time you get there, who knows what else is going to be available, right? It's like there's no right or wrong way to do anything. And I think that's also kind of the scary part, is because it's like, well, then what do I do? I don't know, man. You just do what feels good and gets you to the next day, right? I think, at least for me now, clearly, this is what I was talking to Shauna about the other day. I was like, I think of all the people that I've seen before me on this speaker series, a lot of people have like very professional sounding jobs. They're like lawyers and they work for the city and do all these things. You know, to me, I think I'm one of, if not the only trade occupation on this list. So I might have a very different viewpoint of, you know, what it takes to accomplish whatever it is. But for me, as long as what I'm doing is not hurting anyone else and it's taking care of me and those around me, then I'm all for it. That means I have to be a rodeo clown tomorrow, and then the next day I need to count ballots or sweep streets. It's fine by me, man. Fine by me.
We will now open the floor for a Q&A. If you have a question, please put it in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
I have a question, Paolo. So, and this is Shauna. Um, I was looking at an article about you and the food that you make and how it's tied into culture. Can you explain about the chicken and how it is done? Because I thought that was quite interesting. And then how that's woven in culturally for you and for your colleague who helped open the restaurant.
Yeah, for sure. So I think, you know, at least for me, the fried chicken that we make um, is something that I feel like I grew up eating when we went to a lot of like gatherings or Filipino parties, but also influenced by some of the other chicken that we've eaten that wasn't really Filipino. So it's kind of like a little bit of an in between of like, I guess, your traditional Southern fried chicken and maybe some of the like Asian fried chickens. That's like your karaage that's got like a thinner um, coating on there and it kind of meets in the middle. So it's like a little bit heartier, but also lighter and crispier. Um, but also, you know, there weren't very many Filipino places. Well, there are a lot now, but you know, when I had this idea, there weren't very many Filipino places that were just doing like, you know, um, I guess traditional Filipino food. You know, people were always trying to do like a little twist or you know whatever on it. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. Um, but yeah, I don't like to think that we're fancy by any means. So everything that we make is um, fairly straightforward. But I think we definitely start from a place of our culinary backgrounds. Not to shade on you know Lolo and Lola or all the aunties that make the food. Obviously, their food's number one. I'm just trying to be somewhat close to theirs. I just happen to have you know an education that allows me to do a little bit more with it. Is all.
Are there any more questions for the Q&A?
Yeah, I had a question. Um, so Paolo, you ever get bored like with your work? And if you do, you know, what do you do to fix that? Or how do you straighten the ship to get where you're trying to go and not get bored?
Let's go. Thank you for that question, Travis. I appreciate you, dude. Um, well, first off, I'm going to say owning a business, at least in the beginning parts, there is a lot of things to do. So I don't know if we've gotten to the point where we're bored yet, as far as business goes. Now, maybe with cooking, because our menu is very small, um, I think we allow ourselves to do other things, whether it's like family meal, and so we just cook kind of whatever we want, or the first Sunday of every month we do a pop-up where we just also cook whatever it is we decide to cook. So this week or this upcoming one is going to be chicken sandwiches, and we're just going to do like waffle fries and some like simpler food. The one before was karaage. So one of our guys, Steven, is Japanese on both sides, as he says. And he made traditional Japanese fried chicken. So, okay, I'm almost done. Come here. So we let him kind of do his thing, but I would also say we don't really take ourselves too seriously in the kitchen. So it's like we're also a team of 4 or 5 people. So I guess if we are feeling that sense of like being bored, then we just kind of chat about it and we're like, hey, maybe we'll try something new. Because ultimately, so far, which I hope it stays like that forever, is, like the business is just everyone together, and it's not just my idea or Donnie's idea. So if like we see people just starting to, not be into it, then it's like should probably switch it up a little bit. Because I think
Sounds like you don't get bored too often. It sounds like you.
Not right now, but yeah, I could see, when I was in culinary school and there was like the head chef of like the Hilton at the time came in and did the same thing, and someone asked a similar question, and was like, well, dude, wow, you don't really cook anymore. And it's like, well, at some point you start doing other things that you didn't really do as much of before, so it's not really boring in that sense. And
I just ask because sometimes I get bored with my job and I think to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to
I feel you on
spark
that
the
100%.
get the excitement going again?
I feel you. And that's where it's good to have hobbies, dude. You like, and like I was saying, I thought cooking was just like a hobby. That's just something I really like to do, and then it just ended up being a thing that you could make a career out of, which is cool. So not to say that you may or may not want to change your career, but it's like if you're getting bored, take a step back and maybe make use of that PTO if you have it, or just take a long sick day and really make use of it and just.
Well, I am starting to getting into cooking myself a little bit.
Let's go.
Although I kind of cheat a little bit. I use Every Plate and HelloFresh. The meal kits.
That's fair. Listen, everyone puts those training wheels on when they ride that bike before they just start hitting those jumps. You know what I'm saying? So good for you, man. That's awesome.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a question from Joseph Franco. He says, Paolo, I gotta get up there to try your chicken. What's your advice for people that are afraid to follow their passion?
Let's go, Jomar, bro. I mean, speaking of people who aren't afraid, this guy right here, Jomar, I've seen this guy grow as an individual, man. He's doing all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to say, like, if you're not afraid of doing it, then it's probably not something that will be meaningful later on. Does that make sense? Is that kind of, Brianne, where you at? Did that kind of?
Could you elaborate a little bit?
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Be right there with me. Let's say if I think you should, there's some level of like fear that has to come with the things that you're going to do, right? Otherwise, we're going to get to that point where Travis was talking about, where it's like, you might get bored, because it's like, if every day you're just walking, you already know how to do that, right? But then what happens if you want to spice it up? Then maybe you just go for a jaunt, then you jog, then you run, right? So it's like, I think there's always going to be a little fear, but I think that's what's going to help you push yourself, if that's what you're deciding to do, right? I think, at least for me, but that's normally how I just live my life. And usually when people ask me, it's like, what, I'm a little nervous. I like that. I like the jitter, because then that means that you're about to get into something, whether or not it's like good or bad, you learn from it, right? You feel me on that one? Got you. I got that head nod. I see you.
All right. Do we have any more questions for the Q&A? All right, then. Thank you, Paolo, for your
Sorry,
time.
I was trying to type it in and it wasn't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't going for me. So, Paolo, with you being an alum at UW Tacoma, you've been away from our campus for a while, and of course, this pandemic has been a challenge. But what will it take to bring you back physically to our campus now that things are kind of relaxing a bit?
What do you need from me? What you need? You could have told me to go there tonight. I would have done it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
I'm
Okay.
right there. I mean, I visit Tacoma more often than not. You know, my up until recently, my parents had a house, the house that I lived in when I was going to school up there, and um, I take my son to the Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium every now and then, and just walk around. So it really doesn't take much. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You were like, hey, all these people on the screen right here, we're gonna hang out. Watch you.
All right, thank you. And then I do see there was a question in there from Tyler. Brianne, did you see that?
Yes, I did. So Tyler asks, what do you love most about what you do now? And are there any things that still scare you in your profession?
TP, appreciate you, dude. See you out there. I think, what do I love most about what I do now? I think just the all-encompassing business aspect of it. You know, just to be able to make the rules that we think are going to make the setting of our kitchen better than the ones that we've worked in before, which is kind of like one of the main reasons why we decided to open the business, because we were like, well, what's the purpose of opening it if we're not going to like try and change something within the industry itself? Cooking aside, you know, it's like, are we going to continue to keep these same like crazy long hours, and then people get burnt out, and then, you know, are we just in it for the money? Or is it like, you know, going back to what the chef, you know, asked me before, it was like, could you do it every day? It's like, of course I could do it every day, but you know, at some point, what are you trying to accomplish, or what will make you tired physically, mentally, emotionally? So it's like, you know, I think the joy is trying to being able to create that environment where then we can support other people who support us, which I think is the best. Now, I will say that also part two is also the scary portion, because then every decision that we make is on us. So there's no one else to blame other than ourselves, right? So before it'd be like, oh, am I right? The boss can't. This guy doesn't know anything. Weak. Whereas now it's like when people say that, then now we're the boss. So now we have to figure out a way to, you know, and the people that we hired are also friends. So I think it's also hard to kind of be friends and then boss employee at the same time, right? And also at some point, if we decide to grow, then it just, the umbrella becomes bigger. So then that would be a little bit harder to do as well, especially if there's like more people that we don't know that we end up hiring, or, you know, however big we decide to go. But I think what I love about it is also what scares me quite a bit, because at the end of the day, that we're the end all be all of that business.
And we have one more question from Shauna. What resources did you use on campus when you were a student?
Man, I tried to use them all. Not gonna lie to you. I was trying to get in there in the library and do the tutoring. I was trying to hit up the TAs to do a lot of the science. What else? Made friends with the campus security that walked me to my car. You got to know those people, because then also it'll be like, hey, I'm going to climb up on the ledge of this building, but it's for an art project. I just need you to know that. I don't, you know, I'm going to tell myself that I don't think they would let most people do it. I think because I made friends with them. So they're like, I'll let you do that for about 10 seconds and then you got to get down. Works for me, dude. I think all the other ones too, like when I was getting into videography, getting the IT people and hanging out with them. If anything, really, maybe if I didn't learn anything about what I was supposed to be learning, I learned a lot from those people. So, but yes, I tried almost all the resources at the time.
All right, well, thank you so much, Paolo. I will now turn it back over to Shauna from here.
Yes, thank you.
All right, sorry, it took me a moment to unmute. All right, well, thank you, Paolo, and thank you, Brianne. I have some information I wanted to share before we go. We have information. So this is a special holiday to us, but I just wanted to make sure that people knew what we've been working on. We're very excited about. So there is the UW Tacoma Asian American Pacific Islander Impact Endowment. It was recently established through the generosity of UW Tacoma's Vice Chancellor for Information Technology and CIO, Dr. Patrick Powell, and his family. They're passionate about leveling the educational playing field and ensuring access to opportunities for AA and PI students and future generations, and to those who support them. The purpose of the fund is student support and scholarships, faculty professional development, and programming encouraging civic engagement, internships, health equity, intergenerational connections, and social mobility. This will support our AA and PI students on our campus. I will share a link in the chat about it, but we're very excited that he has been doing great work on this. You'll be able to learn more about it when you go to the page. So just wanted to share that. People who actually registered to attend the event, you have some of that information in your confirmation registration. So if you go back to it, you can actually access the information from there if you want to, or you can simply just go ahead and save the link from the chat. But there will be more coming as we get this fully launched out to the community. And I just wanted to see if there were any other questions or any remarks or comments. I did see there was a remark from Gabrielle. She apologized that she needed to jump off to take a call, but your story was fascinating, Paolo. She put an exclamation point there. You might see it there.
Nice.
Any other comments to Paolo or any questions or anything? Oh.
Let's go, Newman. I see you hiding, lurking in the corner, dude.
He says, controversial question. Naman says, do pineapples belong on pizza? Now, that's a good question.
Listen, I think if, my son, that's all he has on his pizza. It's pineapple. He doesn't even have the ham on there. If it works for you, it works for me. Will I eat it? It's not up to me. That's not my thing, not my dish. But if it's for you, that's what I'm about, dude. Listen, there have been many, many times in this industry that I've made things for people who I was like, I personally wouldn't eat that, but if that's what you want, that is why it is the service industry. I'm here for you, dude. So eat all that pineapple, bro. Really put it on there. If not, make friends with the people who do, maybe they know something that you don't. Now, if you're asking me if a hot dog's a sandwich, we got to start a whole new thing, dude.
He said, good answer.
Let's go, boys. I see you out there, dude. What's up?
All right, just looking to see if there's any other comments. Feel free to come off mute. Oh, there's Joe. Any questions about the Impact Endowment? Feel free to drop those in the chat. More information will be forthcoming. That will be managed through the Center for Equity and Inclusion. I don't see any other questions. So with that, I'll give you some of your time back. Once again, thank you, Paolo, and thank you, Brianne, for taking your time to be here. We truly appreciate you both. Thank you so much. Everybody else, stay safe out there and go Dogs.